you're not sure what to get and you want to play 2K, 4K, any game out there, this is the kind of PC to go for. Okay, so we did record a video of Aaron's PC in the Insane PC Showcase, and I wanted to show you that PC running Warzone. I did say at the end of the video I'd show you some gameplay, but unfortunately we had two issues. First up, the SD card was corrupted. The other thing is Warzone servers seem to be down. I can't get a game on Warzone, but I can get a game on COD Vanguard. So what I'm gonna do instead is show you COD Vanguard running on the high preset. So in the settings, you choose the high preset with AMD Fidelity FX running. We're gonna run 4K resolution and then 2K resolution on those high preset settings. And I'm going to show you what kind of FPS we can get. And now before I show you the gameplay, I want to answer a couple of questions that you might have, and definitely questions that a lot of people ask me every single day. The first one is, people say to me, what is the best PC for COD? You know, if you want to play Warzone or multiplayer, what's the best PC that you should get? And my opinion is that this is the best PC to get for a few reasons. First up, the Ryzen 7 5800X 3D will cost you less overall because the motherboards for AMD processors cost less. The RX 6900 XT is often a third of the price of an RTX 3090 Ti, and on Warzone and COD Vanguard multiplayer, or any other COD multiplayer, you're going to get the same FPS as the 3090 Ti with the RX 6900 XT. You're going to save quite a bit of money. When you've got an AMD processor and an AMD graphics card in the same PC, you can activate AMD SEM, Smart Access Memory, and you'll get a boost in FPS. And what you'll find is that the FPS is a little bit higher than what you generally get with a 3090 Ti. So if you want a top-end PC and you're playing Warzone or you're playing COD multiplayer, this is the setup to go for. Now, if you do play other games, then it's very rare that a game really needs an NVIDIA graphics card. A lot of them don't care what kind of graphics card you've got. Now, if you want to play Microsoft Flight Simulator, etc., or any of these niche games, this is a high-end graphics card. You don't need to worry about whether it's going to run the game. And another thing to consider is that you'll see what I'm talking about in a second, but the FPS we're getting on this PC on COD Vanguard multiplayer is around about, say, 20 to 60 FPS higher than what we can get on COD Warzone with the same kind of high preset with Fidelity FX running. But importantly, you're getting more FPS than the monitor that you would very likely buy will handle. Now, what I find is people buy a 2K 165 Hz monitor, or if they get a 4K, it's a 144 Hz monitor. If you've got an older monitor, it might be a 120 Hz, for example. The Hertz will tell you the maximum FPS that you can see on the screen. So as you're about to see, this setup will get you more FPS than your monitor can even display. So with that in mind, you need to kind of ask yourself, why are you trying to get more performance? That's kind of the question I've got, because this is outperforming any monitor around. You're getting more FPS than you can possibly see. So take a look for yourself. I'll show you what kind of FPS we get in 4K and 2K. First up, we're going to play 4K. Just remember, it's a high preset with Fidelity FX on balanced mode. So we're in a relatively big map here. It's not a small, you know, we're in a blitz 10v10. There's a fair bit going on, and I'm not seeing it drop below 144 FPS. So we're getting, you know, the maximum FPS that this monitor can handle. It's feeling really good. So like I said a few minutes ago, we are running on 4K resolution, which is important to note. And we have AMD Fidelity FX turned on, which is kind of like DLSS for AMD. The graphics are definitely looking like 4K though, nice and clean. So personally, I'm not the kind of guy that will play on 4K often. I like nice and high FPS, like as high as possible. Over 200 is really good for me, but I only play on a 165 Hz monitor anyway, so I don't really need that. I like to have a bit of headroom, so if it does drop a little bit, you still feel like you've got high FPS. And I'm liking the way this is running. I could play this. Like I said, I would not normally play 4K. To stay over 150 FPS in 4K, I think the graphics quality is worth the trade-off. I'm really enjoying this. You know, the FPS you get definitely does depend on what map you're on. This is not a very forgiving map in terms of FPS. You're gonna get low FPS on this map. I think this is a great example of what you can expect, you know, worst case scenario. All right, so I've just spawned into a new game. We're on 2K resolution, and we are getting about 250-ish FPS, and that is actually really important to note. Maybe I've got an FPS limiter on there. Let's have a look. Yeah, so I've got a 250 FPS frame rate limiter. Let's turn it off. All right, so with the FPS, yeah, that's a better example. Now with the limiter off, we're sitting here at up to 320-ish FPS, there's 320. If you get a 2K resolution monitor, because we're on 2K right now, 1440p, you generally cannot buy a 1440p monitor that is more than 240 Hertz. So if you get more than 240 FPS, you're not going to be able to see it. So to get pretty much 300 FPS on this thing, on high preset, COD Vanguard, which is a very recent game still, that is really good. Now it would be good to try Warzone, but at the minute the servers seem to be down, we can't find a game. This is the closest thing we can get to Warzone for you, because it's on the same engine. Yeah, the maps are a different size. Personally, I'm really happy with how this is running. 2K resolution, over 250 FPS the whole time. So what we'll do as well, all right, and we'll check out Task Manager, because I reckon we are only using about, say, 30–40% of the processor on this. I don't think we're using very much at all. So what I'll do, I'll leave this graph open, we'll play the game, and let's see what kind of usage we're getting. So we'll play for a little bit. Based on the fact that it was hitting 250-ish FPS and different areas in the game are giving me different FPS levels, I'm gonna say that the processor is not being maxed out. Let's give it a little bit more and we'll check the graph. So you can see the graph here, and we are pretty much not getting above about 50% usage on this processor. So it is an 8-core processor. I'm not seeing more than 50% usage. It's just not using the whole thing. But if you check the graphics card, for example, this 3D here, while it's running, we're at 100% usage on the graphics card. So I've said this a few times before in these videos, and you'll hear it again another million times, but one of your processor or your graphics card are going to be running at near enough 100% usage, and that is completely normal. You don't want them below 100% usage, because if you're getting low FPS and your graphics card usage is at like 60%, which is what some of you guys asked me about, then that means that your graphics card is not working hard enough, and it is the reason that you're getting low FPS. Okay, so that was COD Vanguard running on 4K and 2K resolution, and as you can see, we got about 200 FPS on 4K. It did dip down to say 160-ish, and on 2K resolution, same settings, it's a high settings preset. Both of them had Fidelity FX running. We were able to get around about 250 to 320 FPS on COD Vanguard, high preset. So personally, I'm really happy with this PC. I would happily own this kind of computer. There aren't any games that I can think of where you're going to struggle to get more FPS than your monitor can handle, especially at 2K resolution. But if 4K gaming is your thing, don't look past the RX 6900 XT. And I have said it a few times now, but in terms of value specifically, you can't really beat the Ryzen 7 5800X 3D with an RX 6900 XT. That's a really good setup. It is beating some of the 3090 Ti setups that we see. It's just a good PC. So if you're not sure what to get and you want to play 2K, 4K, any game out there, this is the kind of PC to go for.